Hello and congratulations for signing up for my Health and Vitality Masterclass. I'm so happy to have you here. So today you're going to learn the 3 keys to not only getting your health back, but also getting your life back. So I'd like to start by asking you a question. Do you get confused or overwhelmed with everything that you hear and see on social media and on the news and everywhere else and what people are saying? As far as what is autoimmune disease? What does it mean to be asymptomatic? What does it mean that your gut is in your immune system is in your gut? What vitamins should you be taking? Do all this confuse you? Vitamin C, vitamin D, getting zinc? Well, you're in the right place because today you're going to learn everything that you need to know to help build a strong immune system that'll protect you from getting any sort of a virus. Also, I'm going to share with you an awesome way of how to get your probiotics naturally and a lot more inexpensive than buying those expensive bottles that you see on the shelf. First of all, I would like to start by introducing myself. My name is Rhonda. I'm a certified health coach. I graduated through the Institute of Integrative Nutrition based out of New York. I'm also a graduate from the Food Enzyme Institute and certified as a digestive wellness specialist. So as your gut guru, my expertise is helping women reverse their menopausal symptoms. Symptoms such as that chronic fatigue, how about those pesky hot flashes? They experience depression, anxiety. Symptoms like chronic fatigue, headaches, insomnia. What about the gas and bloating, the diarrhea and the constipation? That's where I come in, helping women to reverse those symptoms. That's just to list a few. So right now what I'd like to share with you is what some of my clients have been saying. So first, this is Angie. Angie came to me a little over a year ago. She was very depressed because she just didn't have the energy to get through the day at work. She was very discouraged. She was very tired. She just didn't know what to do. There just was not enough coffee in the day to keep her going. And then when she got home in the evening, she didn't really want to do much of anything but just go to bed. Well, when she came to me, and after working with me with a very short period of time, she started to notice the brain fog starting to lift. Her energy started to improve, and she started to love her job again. Not only that, when she would go home in the evenings, she would love spending time with her husband, cooking dinner, even going out, and they've even gone out dancing. So this is Debbie. Debbie came to me. She was very frustrated. She is an outdoors gal, and she just loves doing things, hiking, biking, canoeing, kayaking, and she wasn't able to do these things because she was always worrying where to find a bathroom. Debbie was suffering from IBS. So after working with me, we got things back on track, and now she's out and about and able to go out kayaking and canoeing once again and not even concerned about where the bathrooms are. Then we have Kathleen. Kathleen came to me with similar symptoms. She had very low energy, and she was always wondering where the bathroom was. So as we began to work together, using the system I was trained under, using the Signs and Symptoms survey to pinpoint, to narrow down what was going on with Kathleen, as well as a urinalysis, which also is more specific. I could pinpoint exactly where her needs were. From there, I recommended the protocol that was detailed to exactly what she needed, and for that reason, she got the results a lot faster than she was getting when she went elsewhere. And it's so true what she says here about getting your health back is the most important thing, because without your health, you can't enjoy your life. And isn't that so true? If we let our health dictate our whereabouts and what we can do, it's so frustrating. So it's been such a blessing to be able to help these women get their lives back on track. So let's talk about how your body communicates with you. Our body communicates with us through symptoms. So do you experience any of these symptoms? Our symptoms are directly related to deficiencies in our body. So for example, cold hands and feet is going to be related to a protein deficiency. So you may be thinking to yourself, well, gee, my hands are cold, but I thought I was getting enough protein. You might be eating enough protein. However, is your body absorbing the protein and utilizing it? So another example of a deficiency would be if you had fatigue or inability to concentrate or sugar cravings, that's going to be directly related to a carbohydrate deficiency. And again, you might be thinking like, whoa, I eat plenty of sugar. Well, your body may be eating that, but is your body absorbing and utilizing those carbohydrates for the energy that it needs? We're going to talk a little bit about that later on. Another one would be thinning hair or thyroid issues. That's going to be directly related to a fat deficiency or a lipid deficiency. So if you do experience any of these symptoms listed here, and I explained to you how it could be related to a deficiency, then we know our cells aren't getting what they need. And when we have a symptom, it's our body trying to tell us something. Are you ready to get your health back? Do you worry about getting sick? Well, I just want to say that the time is now. We really don't have the luxury of waiting. I hear a lot of people when they would come to see me saying, oh, I'm not ready to get started. I'm going to wait till after my birthday party, or I'm going to wait after so-and-so's birthday, or I'm going to wait till after Christmas, or I'm going to wait till after this holiday, or I'm going to wait till after this party, because they want to be able to continue and indulge. But the way I see it, and I just heard on the news today, that there's a second wave they're talking about in the fall. We really don't have that luxury to wait, to put it off. So the time is now. We really don't have the luxury of waiting. If you have a compromised immune system, it's time to take action to get your immune system working right. So what I want to say today is that it's time to get your life back. It's time to get your health back. And I'm so excited to share with you because I'm going to give you the 3 keys to do just that. The 3 keys I'm going to share with you today is going to help you to get your immune system working great and your health back on track. So I'm so excited that you're here. And don't forget to stick around because as I mentioned, I've got a wonderful, super simple, super tasty probiotic recipe for you, and it's called kimchi. And it's so simple to make, and the best part is really inexpensive. So let's continue. So what I'd like to share, what you're going to learn today, I'm going to give you some basic knowledge of how your immune system works. I also want to explain to you how your immune system may become compromised. What causes that? How your immune system relates to your health and why it's important to have a strong immune system. I'm also going to talk about 6 signs that are an indication that you may have a weakened immune system. And then most important, the 3 keys that will help your immune system. How do you know when you need help to improve your immune system? Well, we talked about listening to your body. So symptoms are the way your body talks to you. What I'd like to talk about is that there are 3 different stresses that impact our health. The first one is a physical stress. A physical stress is going to be you stubbed your toe, or you got a bruise, or you even got a fracture of some sort. That's a physical stress. Or even a scratch on your hand, that's another good example. Your body knows what to do to help heal and repair that damage that's been physically done to your body. The cells work together, the signals go to the immune system and helps with healing that injury. The second stress that happens to our body is a nutritional stress. A nutritional stress comes from what we put in our body. So if we're putting in good nutrition in, then our cells can receive the nutrition they need for healing and repair. However, if we are depriving our body of good nutrition, we can't live on ding-dongs and Mountain Dew. If we are, that's going to put a stress on our body nutritionally. And then we have the emotional stress. Emotional stress is what mostly affects our society today. Emotional stress comes in all shapes and sizes. It could be being overwhelmed with having to pay the bills. It could be overwhelmed with losing your job. It could be overwhelmed with just being stuck in traffic. How about listening to the news? That could be very overwhelming, very stressful. Politics, let's not even go there. All of this stress affects our immune system. So I'm going to explain how that happens. So when our body is under stress, be it the physical, be it the nutritional, or be it the emotional, our body sends a signal to the hypothalamus. When our body is not able to counteract that stress, the result is a symptom. And a symptom is always going to be in relation to inflammation in the body. So how does our immune system work? The organs of our immune system include the lymph nodes, the spleen, the lymphatic system, and bone marrow. And don't forget, our gut is also included in that. Now, the job of our immune system is to fight off germs, bacteria, pathogens, fungus, and viruses. The immune system can be activated by a lot of different things that the body doesn't recognize on its own, and these are called antigens. So for an example, an pathogen includes the protein that's on the surface of bacteria, fungus, and viruses. When these pathogens attach to special receptors on the immune cell, a whole series of processes are triggered in the body. Once the body has come in contact with the disease-causing germ, for the first time, it usually stores the information about that germ and how to fight it. So then, when it comes in contact with that germ again, it recognizes it. So that's where we build our immune system. Now, our body's own cells have a protein on the surface as well. However, these proteins do not usually trigger the immune system to fight the cell. Sometimes the immune system mistakenly thinks that the body's own cells are foreign cells. Then it attacks healthy, harmless cells in the body, and this is known as autoimmune response. So you may ask yourself, why would my body be attacking itself? Why would it be attacking these healthy cells? Well, I'm going to explain that as we go on. So let's talk about digestion. Where does digestion begin? Well, digestion begins actually in our mind. When we start thinking about, what am I going to have for lunch? That starts getting your mind thinking about it, and it sends a signal, and it starts the stomach acids to start to generate. Did you know it takes about 45 to 50 minutes for your body to generate stomach acids? When we eat and our saliva glands are stimulated, the saliva has the enzymes that helps break down that food. So let me use the analogy of an apple. As we bite into that apple, and we know the apple, if we let it set, will start to turn brown. Those are the enzymes that are breaking up that apple. So now the enzymes in that apple and the enzymes in our saliva are helping to break down that food. Breaking down that food is so important because it needs to be absorbed. So as our food that we've just consumed goes into our stomach, and if the stomach acids are not completely there, and the stomach acids are actually more of like a washing machine and killing off bacteria and the pathogens, more so than digesting our food. It's actually the enzymes that are breaking down and digesting our food. Now let's go back to that same apple. If we've cooked the apple, we've now depleted it of its enzymes. All raw foods have enzymes. But if we've cooked it over 118 degrees, now we've depleted of the enzymes. So now our body has to produce more enzymes to digest that same food. So our body has to work harder. So it's so important that we take time to chew our food before we swallow it so that we can get proper digestion, proper absorption. So this is what I'm talking about. This is where the action takes place. This is after the food leaves the stomach, it goes to the small intestine. Now here to the left, you see a healthy gut. Those little blue finger-like things, those are called microvilli, and they move around and the bacteria live on there and help them move around. Now, you see that's called a tight juncture. The food gets absorbed, the villi helps with the absorption of the food, and as the nutrients, all the vitamins, the minerals, the carbohydrates, the fats, the proteins, all enter and go into the bloodstream that you see on the bottom, and then it gets carried off to go where there's cellular repair and that's needed. Now to the other side, you see an unhealthy gut. So this is what happens over time. If you don't take the time to chew your food and the food particles are big, they're not getting properly digested because it's cooked food and the cooked food doesn't have enzymes, the food particles are too big. When this is continually happening and it goes into your small intestine and the food cannot be absorbed, inflammation steps in. So this is the stress I'm talking about. There's stress put on this small intestine. Inflammation then causes the tight junction to open up, and now these larger food particles are able to pass through and to get into the bloodstream, as well as bacteria and pathogens where when you have the tight junction, they're not able to get through. It protects our body from these pathogens from getting in. So now they're able to enter in the bloodstream. So now, as your small intestine does generate white blood cells, as your body is making white blood cells to fight off these pathogens, it ends up attacking these food particles as well as these other diseases. And in essence, this is how it ends up attacking yourself. This is where you have autoimmune issues. It's always stemming from this leaky gut. And then this is where food allergies or food sensitivities come from, because as these foods that you've eaten have brought into your bloodstream and your body's fighting against it because they don't know what it is, now it becomes that memory that it has of what shouldn't be. And so now you have food sensitivities where you never had them before. A lot of these conditions are the same ones that we mentioned before: bloating, diarrhea, stomach cramps, food sensitivities. Also, sinus issues, eczema, migraines, headaches, thyroid conditions, joint pain. A lot of this is related to leaky gut. So as you can see, digestion is very important in terms of how our body is able to absorb the nutrients. And when we aren't absorbing properly, what it can lead to is leaky gut. And leaky gut is something that is the starting point of any sort of autoimmune disease. As you can see, a lot of these symptoms we talked about earlier are on this list as well. But the main cause is anytime there's inflammation, you're going to have a symptom. This list is similar to the list we saw earlier, and this would be related to leaky gut. So let's go through the 6 signs of a weakened immune system. Things to look for. Number 1 is stress. If you're under a lot of stress, chances are you're going to have a weakened immune system. I stress stress because it's the most important. When our body is under stress, be it watching the news or being in a fight with our husband, boyfriend, daughter, being late for work, stuck in traffic, any kind of stress, if we experience too much stress, it's going to cause stress in our body. So the most important part in that being said is with digestion. If we are eating while we are stressed, our body is not going to be able to digest that food because it's getting ready for the fight or flight mode. It's either going to fight off that politician or it's going to run away from it. And when we're in that mode, our digestive system pretty much slows down, and now we're not digesting that food. It's basically just rotting. So if that's the case, then we're not absorbing. We're not getting the absorption. You may be eating healthy, but not absorbing any of those nutrients. So it's very important to always be centered whenever we stop to eat our food. Okay. So if you're experiencing lots of stress, that's something to definitely look into. Do you get frequent colds or flus? Are you that person that's like, oh my gosh, it's cold season, I'm for sure going to get the cold? Well, that's certainly an indication that you have a weakened immune system. Do you have tummy problems? Do you get frequent gas, diarrhea, or frequent constipation? I see that a lot with my clients. Do you get a wound that heals slowly? Do you get frequent infections? Most importantly, do you get frequent yeast infections? That's definitely going to be an indication of a weakened immune system, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Do you get poor sleep? These are 6 signs that I see a lot of this with a lot of my clients. If you experience 2 out of these 6, there's a chance you have a weakened immune system. Don't get discouraged because there's good news, right? There's hope. Your body is meant to heal and repair. You give it what it needs and it will go to work, and that's what your body wants to do. It's its natural thing. When you get a scratch on your hand, you don't think, oh my gosh, got to amputate. No, you know it's going to heal. You just give it air, clean off the dirt, and it'll get better. Well, same thing with the inside of your body too. You just give it what it needs and it will do the work. Here are the 3 keys to improving your health. Ready? It's your prebiotics, digestive enzymes, and probiotics. So let's go into detail. Probiotics. I want to talk about probiotics first because probiotics help with absorption. So here we have another picture of that microvilli close-up. The job of a probiotic, in this case, in your small intestine, is it helps move those microvilli, fingers, move them along to move the food particles along to help absorb into the bloodstream. Okay? So if we have healthy gut flora, if you've heard that expression, that means our microvilli are moving along properly, and we're getting really good absorption. Now, if you look on slide B, you have a not good balanced flora. The microvilli is not able to stand up and move along. They're kind of collapsed and laying down. So now those food particles you see, they're not able to be absorbed into the bloodstream. They're just going to go floating away and kind of go to the wayside and get wasted. They won't go into so you could be eating healthy, but still feeling not so good because your body's not receiving the nutrients because you don't have good gut flora. So good probiotics help with the absorption. And don't forget, I'm going to give you that great recipe for a natural probiotic. So stick around. So what I'd like to talk about is the sources of probiotics. So first we have here yogurt. Yogurt is probably the most popular source, but I would recommend that you stay away from any sugary yogurts. You want to go with the high, I like to go with fat because our bodies need fat, with the cultures, like the good Greek yogurts. Kefir is another source. There's a dairy kefir, and they also have a water kefir if you choose to stay away from dairy. There's sauerkraut. Sauerkraut's awesome. That's fermented cabbage. And fermented cabbage is one of the best sources of getting your probiotics because it has the trillions of varieties, and it's always changing, and it's a food. And anytime you introduce a probiotic food or fermented food into your body recognizes it as foods and it absorbs it more readily as opposed to a pill or a capsule. We have here tempeh. Tempeh is a fermented soy cake. It's kind of a pressed cake. Kimchi. I'm going to teach you how to make my famous kimchi. This kimchi in the picture is going to be your traditional Korean one, which is very, very spicy, and I don't make mine spicy. However you like it spicy, you can add the spice to it. Then we have miso. That is a fermented soy paste. And kombucha, that's very popular these days. It's a fermented tea. And then here they have a picture of pickles, and I'm going to say these are fermented pickles, not those jarred kosher dills that you see on the shelf. If it's not refrigerated, chances are it's not fermented. If you have a fermented product, it needs to be refrigerated. So those are some sources of some wonderful probiotics. There is, as I mentioned, there's capsules that you can buy, pill form. If you don't like to eat any of these things, you can certainly buy the pills. The food source tends to be a little bit more economical than the pill source, but that is also an alternative. There's lots of different brands to choose from. So the second key is your prebiotics. And what I love about prebiotics is it's real food. It's really simple. I know they sell supplementation out there, but it doesn't make sense to spend money on pills when you have to eat food anyway. So kill two birds with one stone and just eat the food, just fresh fruits and vegetables. So basically what it means is that when you have your probiotics, right, your good bacteria, they're living organisms. All living organisms need to eat. So what they like to eat is good, healthy foods. So good sources of fruits and vegetables is just perfect and wonderful for a probiotic for your good bacteria. Now, I did mention before I was going to talk about the yeast. So we have the yeast, or as I call them, the yeasty beasties that live in our gut as well. When we have an imbalance and have more of the yeast in our gut over the good probiotics, there's that imbalance. And when we have a lot of yeast infections, that's an indication we have an overgrowth of yeast. And yeast, well, they are living organisms too, and they like to eat those sugars. They like to eat those simple carbs. So when you have those cravings for those chips or cakes and cookies, that may not be you. When you're saying, I'm not going to eat that, but yet you end up eating it, those critters down there, they send a signal to the brain. So the good bacteria as well as the bad bacteria, but sometimes the bad bacteria's voice is a little louder. Feed me, feed me. So just remember, next time you go for that second piece of cake, like it may not be you wanting that. It's actually the critters down there. And so maybe you want to think twice before you feed them. The third key are your enzymes. So our body does make enzymes. We start with enzymes in our saliva, our pancreas makes enzymes, our liver makes enzymes. However, as we age, our body doesn't make as much as it used to. So for that reason, we have degenerative disease. Because as we age, if you think about it, we're not chewing as well because either we have lost teeth or we have dentures, so it's harder to chew, so we're not chewing as well. So if we're not chewing as well and our body isn't making the enzymes that it needs to digest, that means our cells aren't receiving the nutrients that it needs, and then it leads to degeneration. So for that reason, supplementation is crucial as we age because our body is not generating the enzymes that we need. So if there was just 2 takeaways that to use and live a wonderful, healthy life, this would be what I would recommend. 1 would be present when you eat. Turn off the TV. If you had an argument, wait till things have settled down. Take a deep breath and be present with your meal. The second thing would be to chew your food. Take the time to taste and chew before you swallow. Now, I'm not going to say chew 30 times. Just chew till it's liquid and swallow it. And if we're eating in the right state of mind, and if we're properly chewing our food and taking the time, you're going to see some amazing results. You're going to see an improvement in energy. You're going to see that brain fog lift. You are going to just feel so much better being mindful. And you'll be amazed. You'll be amazed because now your body's going to be receiving more of the nutrients. So you're going to eat less. So you'll end up losing weight if that's something that you're interested in, very easily without even any effort, because you'll be eating, you won't have the cravings because your body's receiving the nourishment that it needs. If you had a takeaway, I would say that would be the 2 most important things that you can use right now, right today, before you go and eat that next bite of food. Be present and chew. So let me recap. We talked about how our immune system starts in our gut and the importance of that. We talked about some of the signs of a weakened immune system and how things can become compromised. We talked about your 3 keys, your probiotics, your prebiotics, and of course your digestive enzymes. The key to all of that is getting a proper absorption. So let me ask you, if not now, when? Right? Now is the time. Are you able to start using these 3 keys right away? What would be holding you back? Are you ready to get your health back? Are you ready to get your life back? I'm so excited for you. All these things sound very simple, but sometimes we just need that extra help. So I'd like to invite you to a health and vitality discovery session. During that session, I'd love to hear from you. What are your symptoms that you're experiencing? I'd like to know, what is your motivation for good health? Is it being able to play with your grandkids? Is it having the energy? Maybe you find yourself having to homeschool your grandkids, or maybe you're having to homeschool your own children. Do you have the energy to keep up with them, with everything else that you have going on? Maybe it's wanting to be able to go back out and hike or go for a bike ride. That reminds me, I have a client. She had gone for a bike ride with her husband. She had come to see me a while ago, and her issue was that she had chronic fatigue. She was having horrible hot flashes, and so after working with me, she came back. She was telling me the story that she went for a bike ride with her husband. They came to a hill. Now, normally, under normal circumstances, she would have to dismount her bike to go up the hill. But this time, as her husband was at the top of the hill, he couldn't believe it. She was riding up the hill. And the hill wasn't all that steep, but she just never had the energy to make it up the hill. He was so pleased. He was so proud of her. And she was just beaming because she was so happy and excited and proud of herself. It was just such a beautiful moment that they shared. And maybe that's it. Maybe you just want to be able to get your bike up that hill. Whatever it is, I want to know, what is your motivation? What are the concerns that you have about healthy eating? A lot of times people come and see me like, whoa, you're not going to make me do some radical diet. That's not how things work. I work with individuals where they are. I meet you where you're at. You're not going to do anything unless it's going to be sustainable and you can continue it. It's all about changing and having good habits. Also, while you're there, when in this session, you're going to learn how your symptoms, how they're related to your carbohydrates, fats, and protein deficiencies. You'll know where it's at. You'll take away some wonderful, helpful tips that are individualized just for you. Because after all, you're the only you. And every individual has their own specific needs. And I'm going to meet you where you're at. So you'll find that out in that discovery session. So I invite you to just click below here and for your 30-minute free discovery session. And I'm so excited to meet with you. Oh, and as I promised, my kimchi recipe. I love this recipe. I've been making it for years, and I'm so excited for you. I made this video, I demonstrate, and I give you the recipe on how you make your own kimchi. So thank you again for joining me for my Health and Vitality Masterclass. I'm so excited to meet with you and hear all about what you have going on. And I'm so excited to be able to help you on your journey to wonderful health and vitality. Thank you.